Okay. 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 Whew. We're getting there. Oh, sneak preview. We're going to be getting there. Oh, let's move this over here. Yes. Great. All right, boys. I hope y'all are ready. Today's going to be a fun one. Start that recording. Whew. Man. Today's a wild one. I've had quite a day and it's getting better, but I'm looking forward to tonight's lesson and the live Q&A. So, speaking of which, let's go ahead and get started on today's lesson. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very best part of your week. Oh, let's actually put this up in Discord. Oh, where's the link? Here we go. All right. Whew. Okay, guys. Let's go ahead and get started. Today is a very special day because today is actually my birthday and I am going to have a good time regardless of the other circumstances. See, today we were supposed to have on a special guest to do an interview together with a girl to talk about the situation with modern dating and the strategies that are and aren't working. But unfortunately, she could not make it for reasons. So your boy Papa Jack figured out how to put together a great lesson very, very quickly. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'd like to welcome you officially to Live with Jack number 113, where today I'm going to be teaching you the 4 steps to finding, building, and creating a great relationship. Not just any relationship, not just with anybody, but a really, truly good relationship. This is the blueprint for exactly what I would do if I were single right now and I wanted a girlfriend. And not just any girlfriend, but an actual good one. Somebody who you want to be with, who wants to be with you too. Somebody who's a good match for you, somebody who you can actually enjoy your time with. And that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. But if you would like to truly enjoy today's lesson, if you would like to take it to the absolute height of humanity, to the culmination of all of civilization, all you need to do is grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask, raise it high, and let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now, we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Go. Oh, wait. Our sounder, I almost forgot. Cheers. Magnificent. Now, let's jump into our dating strategy. So, first of all, why are we even building a strategy? What's the point of all this, Jack? Is this just mental masturbation? Is this just navel gazing? No. Here's the thing, is that most people, men and women, most people just expect relationships to kind of happen. They expect that they'll just find the one, and you'll know when you meet the one, and that this is just going to show up on your doorstep, or the perfect girl is just going to fall into your lap. But that's not how things actually work. This is why most people have crappy relationships. Most people are in toxic situations that they don't like, that they're not happy with, but they don't know what else to do. So we're going to build a strategy so that we can prevent that and actually find a good relationship that will satisfy you, that will make you feel whole and complete and happy. So this is the blueprint for exactly what I would do if I were single again and needed to find a good girl to have a great relationship. The first thing you have to do is define what your dating goals are. So if you're just waiting on fate to drop the right girl for you, it's not going to work well. You need to figure out exactly what it is that you're looking to create. What is it that you're looking to find? This is going to be the most important thing early on, because if you don't know what you're looking for, how are you going to find it? Also, there are different types of girls who are interested in different types of relationships. And as people go through their journey through life, they're in different phases going to be interested in different kinds of relationships. You want to make sure that you are matching with the right kind of person who has the same dating and relationship goals that you do. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, but you're out there at bars and clubs talking to girls who are just out here for hookups, then it's not going to work well for you. The same goes the other way around. If you're looking for hookups, then why are you talking to Betsy from church, right? She's not interested in just hooking up. She wants a real relationship. So figure out what it is that you're looking for, because just someone or just a girlfriend or whatever else is not going to do it for you. That's not enough. You need to really define what it is that you want. What kind of relationship are you trying to build? Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to choose the right type for you, not just for what you actually like, because, like, come on, who doesn't like a slut, right? I mean, we all kind of like them, but not for a serious relationship. So if you're looking to build a long-term relationship, you need to find the right types for it. You need to actually understand who she is, and that's going to help inform your other decisions for the rest of our strategy. If you don't yet know about the types, we don't have a link in the description right now, but you can go over to thesoulplayer.com. On my blog, you can see all the types of women. It's marked there as the types of Korean women, but the truth is that this is universal information. These types are the same everywhere in the world. So you can go on there and you can read completely for free about all the different types of women. Now, you need to choose the right type for you that actually matches the type of relationship that you're looking for. And this is where it gets fun. Once you know who she is and you understand better, I'm looking for this type of girl who wants this type of relationship with me, then you get to get into her head. You get to create a profile of your ideal partner. This is going to be very important. And this is, by the way, with my coaching clients, this is one of the first things that we do, because this is absolutely critical. We want to understand who she is deeply, but also we need to figure out what's going on. What is it that she's looking for? Now, this ideal partner profile is going to be really important, because we understand who she is, what are her hobbies, what are her interests, and those are going to come into play in a little bit, but also what does she need? What is she looking for? Because that's the next thing that we need to figure out. You need to clarify your offer. And the way that you can do that is by asking yourself these questions. First of all, what does she need? So you have certain things that you're looking for in an ideal partner, right? You want a girl who has this trait or this characteristic or acts this way or whatever. Maybe you want a girl who really loves reading, or you want a girl who's really funny, as if that exists, or something like that. You can figure out on your own what you want, but also we need to figure out what she wants. What is it that she's looking for in an ideal partner? If she wants to get into a relationship with you, these are the things that she expects you to have or to do or to be or to act in a certain way. So try to get into her mind and figure out, what is it that she's looking for? What does she need? The next question you have to ask yourself is, what do you bring to the table? Now, I've talked about this a little bit before, but the three things that women do not care about, these are the things they care about the absolute least, are kindness, intelligence, and loyalty. I'm not saying don't be kind, don't be intelligent, and don't be loyal. I'm saying they don't give a shit. So if your selling point is like, oh, well, I'm a nice guy and I would never cheat on you and I'm really smart, and like, okay, cool. Who gives a shit? Unimportant. She wants other things from you. And so you need to figure out what it is that you bring to the table, right? And I don't just mean things like looks or money or a good job or status or whatever else, right? Because you might not have those things, but you do have some things that you bring to the table that other people don't. Maybe you are funny. Maybe you're witty. Maybe you're clever. Maybe you're fun to be around. Maybe you're really good at planning exceptional dates and you like to go above and beyond. Maybe you are very, very focused and very serious, and you can have great intellectual conversations with her. Whatever it is that you bring to the table, you need to figure out exactly what that is and match it against what she's looking for. If there's a complete mismatch, then something has gone terribly wrong here. Either you have chosen incorrectly up here, or you're focusing on the wrong things and your strategy isn't working right now. So you need to make some changes to your strategy. That's why we come to the next question, which is how can you improve? How can you bring this? Let me get my marker. I got my rainbow markers here. How can you bring this section closer to this? How can you become more of what she's looking for? Now, this doesn't mean not being yourself or trying to be someone else or trying to pretend or some other bullshit like that. That's not what it is at all. What this is it's trying to figure out, okay, cool. If she needs somebody who is, who in my case, right, whenever I was doing this exercise for myself to meet my now wife, one of the things that I put on there was she wants somebody who can speak some Korean. Okay, cool. If I didn't speak any Korean, then I would need to, all right, cool. I should get better at that. I should practice. I should study some Korean because this is going to be important to her. Whenever I created my ideal partner profile, I knew that this was going to be an important thing to her. So you just need to figure out what it is that she's looking for, what you can shore up. How can you improve yourself and your situation to make you a better match for this type of girl when you meet her? We're going to get to actually meeting her in a minute, but you need to figure out what you can do to keep getting better and to keep improving yourself regularly, not just generally, but specific to what it is that she wants. And the last one, this, how can you show it? How can you show these things? This one is your presentation. This is your packaging. Now, I've talked about this a little bit before in some of the other videos, but your packaging, your presentation is going to be really important because we always want to show, don't tell, right? So if I want her to know that I speak Korean, I don't tell her, oh, by the way, I speak Korean, right? That's what a waste. If you have to tell somebody you can do something, then you're probably not very good at it, right? Everybody knows, like the guy who says, oh yeah, I'm really smart or I'm really funny. It's like, okay, cool. You're probably not if you're saying that. Same thing here. You want to figure out how you can show these traits in a way that's going to make sense to her and that she's going to be able to understand them without you having to tell her. You want to show these traits, all of these things that you know she needs, that she wants, and that you've been working to improve. You're going to be able to show those things to her. Packaging and presentation is just how you present yourself to different people. You already do this. You already do this all the time. You talk differently to people at work than you do whenever you're hanging out with your boys. And you probably talk differently whenever you're playing Call of Duty or whatever, right? Like you present yourself differently to different people in different situations. This is natural. This is normal. But you need to do this strategically so that you can show the version of yourself that's most aligned with the type of girl who you want to meet. This is not trying to show off. This is trying to find the right match. So if you've done a good job so far, you know what you're looking for. You know who she is. You know what she's looking for. You know how you stack up on that and how you can continue to improve yourself so that you can be better on those things that she needs and wants. And now it's time to actually start meeting these girls. So first thing, location, location, location. This is critical. You have to figure out the who first so that you can understand the where and the when. But once you figure out who she is, then it shouldn't be too much of a leap for you to figure out where she is most likely to be. So the first thing that we want to focus on here is we want to focus on hobbies, interests, activities. What does this girl do? Now, a lot of guys think, okay, well, I have two ways to meet women. One is online dating. We're going to get to that in a minute. And two is going to bars, nightclubs, singles mixers, things like that, right? Okay, cool. If you're trying to meet an alcoholic, Yes, the bar is a great spot. If you're trying to meet a slut or an attention whore, yes, the club is a great spot. If you're trying to meet a husband hunter or maybe somebody who's kind of past the wall a little bit, then yes, singles mixers, fantastic, right? But if that's not sounding good to you, then probably we change the strategy. Just like with everything else, if one thing isn't working, we have to change the strategy. We need to figure something else out. So think about the hobbies, the interests, and the activities that this girl is most likely to do. I met Lady North at a language exchange. So that was an activity that she was doing. And I knew, okay, cool, the type of girl that I want to meet is likely doing things like this. She's going to language exchanges. She's joining a book club. Maybe she does like a wine tasting club or something like that. Think in your mind about what she does in her off time, in her day-to-day life. Her job, her career is less important unless you're thinking about like a worker bee. But but the activities and the hobbies that she does are going to help you to understand where you can meet her. So, for example, if you're trying to meet somebody who is likely to enjoy dancing, go to dance classes, go to those groups, because in those groups, you're going to meet people, you're going to meet women. And there's a good chance, if you've done this correctly, that this person with the correct hobbies matches this, and you already match this. So, hey, it's perfect. You found a good match. Hobbies, interests, and activities are a great place to meet women who are going to actually match with the things that are important to you and have the traits that you want. Now, the next thing is online versus offline. Okay. I've talked to you guys before about online dating, how I feel about it. Not a big fan. I really don't think that it's good for you mentally. It's not good for your psyche. And it's not really a good place to meet women either, because for a lot of reasons. But the first one is it completely limits your dating pool to only the people who are online, on that app, online now, and in your area. And the other thing is that it filters for the types of girls who want to be on dating apps. Now, if what you're looking for is hookups or even short-term relationships, then yeah, online is fine. It's a good place to meet people who just want to come around and get a good dickin' and then be on their way. But if you want an actual relationship, a good girlfriend, online is going to be much harder to find that girl, because now instead of fishing in an open pond, you're fishing in a swamp. You might catch something good, but you're more likely to catch chlamydia. So probably avoid online dating as an overall strategy. I know you're still going to use it, right? And it's fine if it's a backup, if it's like a secondary part of your strategy. There's no point in not using it as long as it's not your main strategy for meeting women, because again, it just filters for the wrong types of girls, mostly. Not everybody, but mostly. So I do prefer offline, and I think that hobby groups and things like that are really good. Now, as far as street game goes, I've talked to you guys quite a bit about street game, meeting people on the street, meeting people in public, things like that. That can work very well. It's a very wide net approach, and it can work well because you're basically just meeting people and saying, hey, I'm a good match for this type of person. Are you this type of person? Without saying that, right? You're showing them, not telling them. And you just go, you meet somebody, you set up a date, and then on the date, you figure out like, okay, good, we're a good match, or we're not a good match. And that's fine. So street and public approaches, I'm a big fan of. Hey, thanks, Crow. Crow leaves me a happy birthday message. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. So I'm a big fan of street and public approaches. I think that they're really good for meeting lots of people, essentially casting your net as wide as possible, which is essentially, this is the offline version of online dating, is real life Tinder. You just meet somebody and you say, okay, cool. We both find each other reasonably physically attractive. Great. Let's go on a date. Let's see if we're a good match or not. Cool. That's very useful, but it doesn't filter too well. And so that's why we need to build a filter. Building a filter is important because it does a few things. One, it stops you from wasting your time. Okay. We don't want to be wasting time by dating catfish from the online dating stuff. We don't want to be wasting time by dating the wrong types of girls. So it's important to actually understand the 14 different types and understand who it is that you want to meet, but also who you want to repel. And you build your whole presentation and your system around attracting the right girls and repelling the wrong girls. So if you're having trouble building a filter, then this is usually something that happens if you have a lot of girls coming in, you have a lot of options, or you're just out there hitting the streets, hitting the bricks every single day. You're approaching like a madman, and that's great. But that also means that you need to start to build a filter to keep some out. Start gatekeeping more. If you're going to use online dating, building a filter is going to be really, really important. The way you construct your profile should be intentional, and it should be based around attracting the right types of girls and repelling the wrong types of girls. The whole profile should be designed to make the wrong types of girls run screaming for the hills, but bring in the right types. The same is true in person. The way that you act, the way that you present yourself, everything that you do is going to attract some people and repel other people. So build around that intentionally so that you will naturally start to attract the right types of girls, the ones you want to meet, and repel the wrong types of girls. Now, the next thing here, engagement strategy. So basically, how do I start the conversation? How do I open up? All right, if you want just a surefire, this is the way to do it. Then what you should do is click the link in the description, at the top of the description right here below, where I give away the 4-line miracle script so that you can learn exactly what to say to anybody in public, in any situation, start a conversation, and in just 4 lines, in under 2 minutes, you can take the conversation from the beginning to having a number and a date set up. But in a lot of other situations, like in a hobby group or in a bar or something like that, this might not be as effective because it's so quick, so just in and out, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, that it doesn't leave much room for conversation, for actually having kind of an insta date and getting to know each other a bit. So if you're in a situation like that, then you can open up. You can still use the same opener, right? That first line is absolutely magical. And I've told you guys the perfect opener so many times. Here, let's quick review. What's the perfect opener? Hey, my name's Jack. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? That's it. You can start a conversation anywhere with anyone with that single opener. You get the conversation started, and then you're basically kind of feeling each other out, seeing, are you the girl I'm looking for? Am I the guy you're looking for? Is this a good match? If so, great. Let's set up a date to see if we match, if we have any chemistry, if we have things going between us or not. And that's where we're going next, is it's time to get the date or dates. Essentially, you want to start getting the date. So we've done all the preparation. We've done all the planning. We've gone to the right places. We've started meeting the right people. Great. Now let's set up the date. You guys know the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Don't try to get fancy. Don't try to get cute and clever. Don't do any of that other stuff. Just be upfront and be real about this. Hey, I have an idea. You look like the kind of girl who likes something. Am I right? Yes? Great. I know the place. I know this place that makes the best, whatever. I want to take you there and show you sometime. How about this day? Great. Here you go. That's it. You set up the date. You get the number, and then you set the date. You want to keep it as simple as possible. Don't get caught up on the like, oh, but maybe if I ask her for a date, then she'll know I'm interested in her. And then I don't know, did we do enough of this? Did we say enough of this? Stop all that stuff. Keep it simple. Just set up the date, right? Just tell her, I want to take you out to this thing. Cool. Make that happen. Don't get in your head about it. Keep it very simple. Now, one of the easiest things that you can do to actually get the date set up is to create a reason. A mistake that I see a lot of guys make is that they will ask for a girl's number, but without a reason, right? They'll say something like, oh, I like talking to you. I want to talk to you more. Give me your number and we can talk sometime. Or maybe we can hang out sometime. Okay, that's not a reason. That's actually a cost for her. You're asking for her attention, for her interest in you, but you aren't offering anything and you don't have a reason for it because you're being too much of a pussy to tell her, I like you and I want to take you on a date. If you just tell her that, then she can choose yes or no, and she might say no, which I understand is why you're putting it off. And you're like, oh, but Jack, I don't want to ask her out because then what if she says no? I'm like, okay, cool. Here's the thing. If you just keep pussyfooting around like that, then you have no reason. She's not going to talk to you because she's not interested. And she doesn't respect you because you don't have the balls to come out and just say the thing that you want to say, that you want to take her out. So if you ask her out, she might say yes, she might say no. If you don't ask her out, she definitely won't go on a date with you. Why? Because you didn't ask her to, and she doesn't respect you. She thinks you're a pussy. So don't do that. Ask her for the date. Give a reason. Make it obvious, right? We're not trying to hide the ball here. We're not using some tricks or neurolinguistic programming or anything weird like that. We're just telling her, I want to take you on a date. I want to take you to this place to go do this thing. Let's go together. How about this day? Great. Now we have a reason. Okay, I'm going to take you to do this thing. So put your number in my phone and I'll text you the details. Great. Now you have her number and you have a reason for it because you're going to text her the details so that you guys can go on the date. Text is only about logistics. This is especially true at the very beginning. Once you've been dating for a while, then yeah, you might like chat through text. You might have conversations or whatever else. But early on, text is only about setting up the date, setting up the logistics. Everything else is just a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. So stop worrying about chit-chatting through text or stop trying to like build rapport or anything like that through text because it's a waste. It's a waste. Just set the date, set it quickly, set it soon, right? 72-hour rule from the time you first meet to the time you're on the date has to be 72 hours or less for the highest chances of success. This is, by the way, this is why we build strategies like this. This is why we do all this stuff, is because, of course, there is no guarantee of anything. There's always going to be some element of luck, but we want to minimize the role that luck plays. We want to maximize our chances of success, of building, finding, creating, and building a great relationship. If we want to maximize our chances and minimize luck, then we plan the strategies that give us the best chances to do so. Now, using text to create the logistics, to set up the date, this is your best chance. This is the highest chance of success. You set it up quickly, 72 hours or less gives you a much higher chance of a great date than if you wait. If you space it out, if you try to have a date like 4 or 5 days away, the chances of her even showing up go way down, and the chances of it being a good date also go way down. Why is this? Because recency bias. Your mind likes the thing that is the newest thing in your mind. That's just how we're built. It's how we're wired. So if you wait too long, you aren't new anymore. You aren't interesting. You aren't the exciting new thing. You're just, oh yeah, that guy, yeah, I told him I'd go on a date with him, but I don't really feel like it. It's been like a week. Maybe he forgot about me. Hopefully he just forgets and doesn't show up at all. You are already losing the battle from the get-go if you wait too long. So 72 hours from the time you meet to the time you're on the date. Now, the last thing, actually, that is the last thing. I just went through that. Set the date ASAP. Don't fuck around. Don't wait. Don't do this thing. I've seen some guys do this where they say, like, oh yeah, I met this great girl. She's really cool. I'm going to keep talking to her at the thing that I go to. And then one day I'm going to ask her to go on a date with me. I'm going to ask her out. Don't do that. Stop wasting time. Stop thinking like, oh, well, maybe if we talk a little bit more first, then she'll want to go on the date with me. Bad strategy. That's not a good plan. Instead, just from the get-go, if you like her, you're interested in her, ask her to go out with you. And then if she's not interested, or she says, I have a boyfriend, or no thanks, I don't really want to hang out with you, or whatever. Okay, cool. No problem. and then you go on about your way as if nothing happened, because nothing did happen. You didn't build it up in your head. This is one of the reasons that it creates, this is one of the reasons that it's such a mistake, is that if you wait, if you start talking to a girl and you're like, oh, well, we're going to talk more and build a friendship and then turn it into a date or something like that, you're going to build shit up in your head and it's going to turn into more of a thing. If there's a girl who, let's go back to the dance classes I mentioned earlier, right? If you go to this dance class every week and there's this girl who you chat with every week and you say, yeah, I really like her, you know, we hang out and we always talk and laugh and she likes my jokes and stuff. And, you know, we've been talking for like 3 months every time we go to this class and it's really cool. But now I don't want to ask her out, because then if she says no, won't it be awkward? Won't it be weird? Won't, you know, she feel a little bit strange about it? And then if she says yes, then like, okay, great, but I don't want to do it now. And it's built up into all this bullshit because you waited. Now, let's replay that situation. If you went to the dance class and the first day that you saw her and you guys talked and she laughed, and then you said, hey, you seem pretty cool. I think we should hang out. Let's go to this place. Let's go get margaritas, or let's go get tacos, or let's go get Thai food, or let's go to this really cool bar I know. They make the best whatever. If you'd asked her then, and then she said, no, I don't really, I'm not interested. Or if she said, oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend, or whatever else, then it's not a big deal at all, right? It hasn't been built up into something. Because at that point, you just say, oh, okay, cool. No worries. Anyway, see you next week. And then you go on about your way. And you can still talk to her. You can still hang out. You're back at the same place that you were without asking her. But now you have the certainty of knowing what the situation is. And you don't have to build up that shit in your head. So, quick review. If you are currently single and you want to find, create, and build a great relationship, here's how you do it. First, define who you want to date. Figure out what your strategy is. What are you aiming for? What are your goals? What kind of relationship? What type of girl? And what is her ideal profile? What traits, what characteristics does she have? What are you looking for in her that is very important to you? What are you, like 3 to 5 non-negotiables? I need a girl who acts this way, or who has this personality trait, whatever it is. Figure out your ideal partner. Second, in your ideal partner's head, figure out what she's looking for, what you have to offer in regards to that, how you stack up against what it is that she wants, and what you can do to keep on improving your situation. Third, now that you know who, we figure out the where. You find the right hobbies, interests, or activities where that type of girl is going to be, is most likely to be, and you start going there. You put yourself in those situations to have as many possible shots on goal as you can. Talk to her. Actually engage. Start the conversations, have a chat, and then lead it directly to the date. Don't get fancy. Don't get clever. There's no need to overthink this shit. You just talk to her. Hey, my name's Jack. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? Cool. Start the conversation, then lead it to, I have a reason. I want us to hang out. I want us to go to this place to do this thing. Let's make that happen. Put your number in my phone. I'll text you the details. Great. Now you have her number and you have the date set up. It's done within 72 hours. And now you are on a date with a girl who you wanted to be on a date with, who is a good match for you because you bring the right things to the table. And bam, now you start building your actual relationship. Then you keep dating. Then you can finally, after, let's say like after 3 dates, you can finally text and just chit chat, right? But before then, you're just setting up dates. You're setting up hangouts, figuring all that stuff out and going, building that relationship. This is the strategy to use. This is how you maximize your chances of success, minimize your reliance on luck, and have a great time doing it. So, with all that said, if you found any of this useful, helpful, interesting, boring, clever, creative, I don't know, anything, then how about you do me a favor and drop a like on the video underneath this, because it would really help me out a lot. Helps the channel grow. And hey, it's my birthday. Give me a like, just because. It's the perfect present. All right, cool. Now, real quick, I'm going to bring up Coot's question before we finish this up. Question on a topic when a girl says it's too soon for a date. We should get to know each other more before. You don't buy that frame at all. Like that's what the date is. We want to get to know each other. Look, it's not like we're getting married. We're not taking an international vacation together or some like big commitment. We're just going to go out and talk and get to know each other a bit. It's the perfect situation, right? So you flip this on its head and you say, oh, I completely agree. We should get to know each other more. I have a great idea. Let's get to know each other over a cocktail. I know this bar, they make the best old fashions. Have you ever had an old fashioned? No? Okay. Listen, you're going to love it. Let's go over there. We can have a drink and we can talk and get to know each other. It is the date, right? You just reframe it, flip it, right? Anybody who says it's too soon for a date is full of shit, right? Like they might just not be interested. But if they say they want to get to know you better, then agree with them. Agree and judo that into the date. All right, now let's go ahead and move into our live Q&A section. We have some friends here. Come on in, boys. Come on in. And on that note, I'm also going to stop this other recording because only the YouTube boys get to hang out with us for the Q&A. Everybody else just gets the lesson. You guys get the good shit. How you doing? Oh, Antonio, look at you. Looking like a suave motherfucker with that beard. I like it.
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Busy week as usual.
Yeah. Preaching to the choir on that one, man.
Can't imagine.
Oh, okay.
And we lost Antonio.
Antonio, man, we need to get that guy an upgrade for his internet. Okay. All right. So.
All right, my microphone wasn't working for some reason.
Oh,
there he is.
All right, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. I like the beard. I think it really works for you. It's good.
Yeah, no, I just grew tired of trimming it off because it grows like every week.
Yeah.
Like once I had a beard like this that went straight up like this, and I'm only 19, so I don't know what the hell is going to happen when I'm 30 or something like that. But who knows? Who knows?
You're gonna have a fucking killer beard. That's what. That's
Yeah.
good, man. I like it. I approve. You get the black seal of approval.
Yeah, I like the lesson that you did on don't wait on asking her for a date and stuff. I from the moment you said that, I stand by that every single fucking time now because I've been thinking about it, and the more I think of it, the more I would like to slam my face on a wall for how stupid I used to go on dates. But yeah. All right. Do we have any questions for the stream?
So we do. We have some questions that were submitted in the Discord. Unfortunately, today was a fucking impromptu lesson because the girl who was supposed to get on with me to do the interview just messaged me like 30 minutes before, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't do it." All right, I have to put something together fast. So people didn't have much.
Birthday, man. Forgot to tell you. I forgot to tell you happy birthday.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Birthday, actually, yeah.
I am having myself a birthday beer. There we go. All right. Now we do have some questions in the Discord. Paul, could you have a look and see?
So the first one was from Jake. He asked the difference between Korean guys and foreigners on dates, pros and cons of each. And since I can see he's around, I was like, why would you want to date guys anyway?
Well, so this question was meant to be to the girl, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so again, it's a real shame that we didn't have any time to get questions because
why don't you bring your wife here? I feel like she could answer these questions.
She does not want to be on camera. She
Oh,
is
all right.
she's just naturally she's a very shy person, but she doesn't want anything to do with being on the live streams and stuff. She gets really nervous about it, and like I don't blame her. You know, it's not her style, and I respect that. Um,
Yeah,
did we have another?
she's shy. All right, I
Okay,
get it.
we have another from Sabi. He's
Yeah.
wondering on how the perception on dates, especially the perception of how many dates you need to go on before you sleep together, uh, between Koreans, foreigners, like, and then from the US, Latin America, Europe. And
Yeah.
then he goes on to say, as today I was talking with a Korean girl in her 30s, and she said, in her opinion, Korean guys average about 5 dates before they sleep together. But I believe that this might change with generation. Younger might wait less.
Mm, I think that. Yeah. So generally speaking, in Asia, just all across the board in Asia, there's going to be more of a cultural expectation of moving a bit slower overall. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go out and get same day lays and instant hookups, right? Because that's also fairly common if you're going to the right places. But if you want somebody who's more serious minded, who's not just giving it up everywhere, then Asia is definitely going to be a better bet for that than anywhere in the West. Western culture generally pushes sex as nothing, right? It's like you just meet up and like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I like you well enough, so sure. Um, Latin America is uh, that's a bit of a weirder one. I think Latin America is a little bit more, at least in my experience, is a little bit more like Asia in that the more conservative parts of it and the more traditional parts of it are going to expect to wait longer. But there are, of course, right? If you're in any major city, they're gonna be hoes, right? There are hoes in every area code. So uh, the further out of that you get, the more traditional lifestyle, the more traditional mentality and culture, the longer they're going to expect you to wait. Does this line up with your experiences, Paul?
Uh, Not really. Like I've dated everything from very like super traditional girls to the sluttiest sluts, right?
Hmm.
And I think the most amount of dates I ever needed to have was two,
Mhm.
and then but I think it's more in terms of how you set the vibe and how you control the dates themselves rather than, yeah, of course, if you're gonna go to a coffee date with every girl, yeah, it's gonna take a couple dates.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you make every date an adventure, that adventure in itself becomes, in their mind, multiple dates, and therefore it goes very
I
differently.
wonder. I wonder if now this is just a hypothesis. I have no idea, but I wonder if it's because Korean guys generally are worse at dates. Like
I
they
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, like this pure hypothesis. I have no evidence to back this up at all. But just if the average is 5 dates for a guy, then my guess is that he is not doing a good job of controlling the date, of setting the frame, of leading the interactions well. That he's kind of taking a backseat role, and he's like, oh yeah, anything you want, whatever you want, and that's making it take longer because he's not turning her on at all.
Hmm.
And then
I do
eventually,
feel like maybe it's because they're more introverted than American Joes. Maybe more
I
shy.
don't think that's the case. I think it's more in terms of just like they are taught, like some people are just taught to do it like that. Like you should be gentle, you should take it careful, you should take it slow. But more than often, I think it's because people are afraid to offend them.
Yeah,
And it's one thing that I think you've said it quite a lot of times in earlier streams, at least, that a girl will never get mad at you for wanting sex.
exactly.
But I think a lot of guys has this kind of fear that if you try, then you will be uh, kind of shut down and she'll get mad at you and stop liking you. That will never
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah, yeah. I agree completely. You should always go for gold. If you want to hook up with this girl, you should absolutely try for it. Right now, she can say no, right, and that's okay. But she'll never get mad at you for trying. That's it's built into the human system. Everybody knows that men want sex. That's like one of the most basic foundational things about men is that they want sex. And
One
so
thing,
whenever you
one thing I never understood
mm,
is why women aren't like more focused on the sex thing when dating. Like, is it just the emotional support that they seek in a man, or like the ability to be, taken care of, if you know what I'm talking about? I never saw a woman struggling for sex like men do, right? I
Of
mean,
course they don't,
yeah,
yeah,
because
they
they can
can feel
literally go out and grab anyone and then
yeah,
they get it.
yeah, that's just supply and demand, right?
They are the reason for this is the reason why they put all the like all the kind of up like the everything up to that moment falls in our lap in the first few dates is because they are looking for someone that can like naturally turn them on,
Yeah.
like where we as guys will have to do the things that get them in the mood rather
Mm,
than because they know that they can get us in the mood anytime.
yeah. Yeah. Like
And
you
once you
just
start dating a lot more girls, you will find the girls that are the opposite way, where they are just, I am horny.
yeah. So generally speaking, and women are not a monolith, right? It's not just all women are exactly the same way. But as an overall rule, this is basic supply and demand. Something that you can get easily at any time is not something that you focus on. Like, for example, when was the last time that you thought to yourself, man, I really need to go and try to get some water? Like, never, right? Because water is easy to get. You have unlimited supply of it. You can get it just anywhere, right? Turn the tap, you got water, right? Women are naughty too. Yeah, yeah, and we'll get to that. But because you have an infinite supply of it and you have a very limited demand, even though it is something that you want, that you need, it's not something that you think about very much because you can get it anytime you want. Same thing for women with sex is there's an unlimited supply. Any woman who just wants sex with anyone, right? If she says, look, I just want a dick in me and I don't care who, that's easy. She can literally just walk into any bar or even on the street and just be like, I want to fuck. Who wants to come with me? And there'll be a line out the door, right? But that means that she also gets to be a lot pickier. She gets to choose. She gets to say, well, I want somebody who naturally turns me on, or I want somebody who can make me laugh as well, or I want somebody who, whatever else, right? Whatever her qualifications are that she's looking for, that's what she's filtering for because it's easy to get the other part, right?
Yeah, all right.
And yes, women are naughty too. They enjoy that stuff as well, right? It's just about getting them there, right?
No,
Being the person.
I understand that. It's basically it's a lot harder for them to get horny in the first place, though.
Well, you have to get them to the point where they want that thing, right? Where they want the
Yeah,
sex
understandable.
with you,
Yes.
right?
So the biggest difference there between, at least in my experience, between men and women, while our turn-ons are often physical,
Mm,
with women's you have to do it by getting them to live the fantasy.
yeah, Yeah, absolutely. You turn on their brain, their mind, not their bodies. I mean, well, that the body is also an important part of it, but to get them there, you have to engage the mind. You have to, because again, physical stuff. It's like
Rollerblade,
anywhere, huh?
rollerblade.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely think that that's one of the biggest differences there. Sabi asked a question
Yes,
here.
I wanted to bring it up once we were done talking about this, and then he says chairs. There is also the concept of some, which I don't quite get.
Do
The
you know?
yes, so it's kind of like a fling. So Koreans will have their some, which is basically we would call it a fuck buddy.
Oh, okay.
But in the short term of it, it's just like okay, we have a mutual agreement that we are gonna fuck, but nothing else is gonna happen. So that's
Uh,
basically what it is. So it's
okay.
basically a like for us we would call it a summer flirt or a summer fling, for example. Koreans will
Right.
use the term some for that.
Oh, I see it here. Yeah, and he's mentioned it in the second concept, the idea of a platonic lover.
Yes.
Oh, a platonic love. Are you talking about like non-sexual? I mean, so I don't know this. I don't know this word. I don't think I've heard this, or if I have, I don't remember it.
No,
But
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think that's what it means. But honestly, I see that as one in a trillion, to be honest.
hmm, you heard
It
it
is
from.
like the explanation I can find it is like it's a undefined relationship where you've slept together multiple times. So
Uh,
it's one of those that just it is included sleeping with each other. Uh, but it is one of those where you just have a sexual relationship and that's it. It's not
okay.
like you're not boyfriend girlfriend, you're not getting engaged
Literally
or
fast
anything like that.
friend.
It's not moving forward. It's like kind of dying in this just the sexual relationship.
Okay. Well, and like he's describing a little bit more in here where he's saying that like it's a non-sexual relationship as well. And I mean, like if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But that doesn't sound like a good place to be. Is I I don't know, man. I'm a very simple person, and to me, either we're banging or I'm not interested in hanging out anymore, right? Or you're a dude, right? That's basically it. Like I don't want to hang out with girls who I'm not banging unless, like obviously if one of my friends' girlfriends or something like that's a different situation. But like if when I was single, I wouldn't spend any time hanging out with girls who I wasn't at least trying to bang, right? Because at that point, what's the reason? Why hang out? I have never. I'm trying to think. I want this to be true.
So I can do a little bit of an abbreviation. So the word they use is some,
Uh huh.
which in English sounds like some, and
Yeah.
it's actually short for someone.
Uh huh.
So when Koreans are talking about it, it's actually like, do you have a someone?
Okay.
But it's not a boyfriend or girlfriend or anything like that. It's a someone.
I see. I see. Okay.
Do you,
Okay.
Jeff?
Yeah. I mean, like, I understand the words. I don't understand the reason for it unless you're banging, right? Like, fuck buddies, friends with benefits. I totally get that. But the friend part is not even really true, right? It's just fuck buddies. Because I've never had a girl who was a better friend than any of my guys. Like the best female friend is still worse than the worst male friend. Like, that's just natural. That's just what they are. They aren't there for friendship. They're I mean, they're there for relationships, for support, for growing together, absolutely, for sharing experiences. Yes, but friendship? Not really. Let's see. JJ says when they're more than friends but not in a relationship yet, like pre-relationship phase, a situationship. Coot says,
Might be closer to what we call a situationship, yeah.
mm,
I was trying to look back into, so Sabi also had another question.
yeah.
And that was, he's wondering why sex culture is still being seen as a taboo in countries like Korea, whereas in Japan it's way more open.
So Japan is a very interesting beast because there is a lot going on with Japan, with like the more traditional like Confucian culture meeting the newer, more modern culture and a lot of that stuff. But Korea is actually a very exceptional case because the Confucian system here never actually died. Korea, tiny little history lesson. Korea basically splintered off from ancient Confucianism that was popular around most of Asia, and it created its own new like neo-Confucian system here. And that's one of the reasons why Korea still has such deeply ingrained hierarchies, not just in the culture, but even in the language, in the way that they treat everybody. If somebody is even 1 year older than you, then you aren't supposed to criticize them or even ask questions, really. And there's a lot going on there. But because of that stuff, you do get a lot of this kind of repressive and taboo feelings of like, no, don't talk about these things, because the only people who talk about that are the people that nobody wants to marry, nobody wants to be with, because those are the whores, right? And so there's still a lot of cultural taboo around things like that, around sex, around talking about sex at all. You can see that in like TV shows and movies here as well, where they very, very, very rarely have any kind of sex scenes at all. And then if they do, it's very short, it's very, very limited. It never happens on TV. And movies, it's still very, very limited. There's just a lot of cultural downward pressure against talking about anything like that openly. Now, if you get them one-on-one, then and they trust you, right? You have some kind of rapport or relationship with them, then they become actually really open and honest, and they're happy to talk about it. Like they aren't usually very shy about it. Again, once you talk to them and get them to open up, once they know basically that you aren't going to judge them for what they say or what they do, then they'll open up and they'll talk about all sorts of stuff. I went out one night. I was doing research. I had a concept for a book that I was going to put together for the blog. This is years ago, and I ended up abandoning it. But the idea was to go out and just interview as many different young girls as possible and ask them a bunch of questions about relationships, about sex, about experiences, things like that. And I told them all, like, okay, cool. Listen, I'm not going to judge you based on anything. I am recording the conversation so that I can mark the data points, but it's an audio only recording and you don't need to tell me your name or anything. So this is purely anonymous. You can talk openly and freely. And the girls would tell me all sorts of stuff. They were telling me all these different things they did. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, I had a one night stand, and this is one time I went to this beach party and I ended up banging like 3 different dudes that day. And they would just go on and tell me all of this stuff that they were doing. But the interesting thing was that anyone who was with their friends, they would shut down. They can't talk about it in front of their friends, but they'll talk about it with me, a complete stranger, because they know I'm not going to judge them, but their friends will. So that I know that was a long rant, but all of that was to explain that it's because of the culture and the assumption that other people will judge me for the things that I say or the things that I do, or they'll hold this against me, or they'll use it somehow in a negative way. Whereas to us, like, we don't give a shit, right? So they're fine opening up.
Yeah, and I think one of the few ways you get them to open up a little bit in groups, then you have to bake it into some sort of game or things that is happening. Which is
Yeah,
why, for example, Never Have I Ever works so well to kind of get them in that direction.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
Because
and
you've never seen a group of girls like once you start playing Never Have I Ever, they all know that where the questions are gonna go. But they
uh-huh,
still accept it, even though they would never openly talk about this in front of their girlfriends.
right. You know what's really interesting about that is that Never Have I Ever becomes competitive for the girls, because what they'll do is you'll say something like, "Never have I ever had sex with somebody from another country," and then like one of the girls will not drink, and then her friend will be like, "Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Ah, yes, you did. You have to drink." Right? They will start
Mm.
telling on each other and calling each other out on it. And so actually Never Have I Ever is really fun for creating that group dynamic and turning up the heat a bit. Yeah, I think that's a really good strategy for that. Coot says Japan Shintoism is closer to animist or paganism versus Neo-Confucian. Like any old-fashioned pagans, it's had its share of sexualized harvest rituals. Yeah, I'm sure. But I was talking about Korea with the Neo-Confucianism. Like, it was actually a split off sect of Confucianism that's specific to Korea. That Japan and the other countries that used Confucianism, it it actually kind of got watered down and phased out over time as different parts of it were replaced with more modern ideas and concepts. But in Korea, it just held basically still to this day. It's still in its roots. It is still a very neo-Confucianist country. Okay,
This was
cool.
a history lesson real quick. That was
What's that?
interesting. This turned into a history lesson real quick, but it was interesting though.
Yeah, sorry about that. I know you guys are all here for like dating and sex advice, and it's like, okay, cool. But also, I'm an amateur historian, I guess. Here we go. Let's talk about this shit. Uh, Unimportant. Any other questions? And guys in the chat as well, if you guys have other questions, put them in, right? You can put them in Discord, or you can put them in on YouTube, and we can pick them up. I'm really glad that we got the Discord thing linked up and working. I think
Yeah.
that that's a lot better.
As for currently, we don't have any other questions. So unless someone in the chat has some, then
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, or Antonio, if you have any questions, now's a good
Have you
time.
okay? Do you use different approaches in dating girls from different countries, right? From, for example, for a different, let's say, Korean girl that has more traditional values, that has been grown up in a more traditional home, right? Compared to a slutty woman coming from the US. Of course, I think there's gonna be some huge differences in dating, right? Not necessarily in like the very first date. Let's say that you met these women and you've been dating them for a while, right? Do you about you, Jack, personally? Did you actually have to like shift your personality a bit with these people? Did you actually have to put a mask on every time you did these different kind of girls that have different personalities? How does that work with you? Or do you or like do you just
that.
find the right girl that
So,
suits your personality straightforward?
so I
Right.
think the premise of the question might be a little bit off because what is a date? So when I take a girl on a date, I am going to do something I want to do. I'm going a place which I like. I'm going to eat some. If I'm eating food, I'm going to eat some food that I like. And for the first couple dates, it's she gets invited to join me on my night out. That
Mhm.
is what she is like. I have these things that I want to do. do you want to do them with me? It's
Mm.
not I am creating this date just for you.
Yeah,
It's
all
more
right.
like a you invite them into your world kind of thing.
It should not be
So
the opposite then.
yeah, no,
All
then
right.
your list it's your frame, so it's your world.
Mm.
So you shouldn't change the frame just based on the girl. That's my opinion at least.
I think the other issue with this question, or this way of thinking rather, is that you're you're kind of mischaracterizing or miscategorizing the girls, right? You're looking at them as like from this country or from this country or from this culture or whatever. But instead, it's all about just what type of girl they are. What is their personality type? Because, like I was going through today, if you build your strategy correctly of who you are, of what you're showing, of how you're presenting that, then no matter where you go in the world, you're going to attract the same types of girls and you're going to repel the same types as well, right? Like my style is very intentionally created to repel sluts and attention whores. It sends them packing. They want nothing to do with me. And that's the same everywhere around the world, but it's really good at attracting worker bees, friend, not so much on the prudes, right? But shy girls. It really brings them in. And that's the same everywhere. So it's all about creating the correct strategy to attract the types of girls you want. Everything past that, like, there are smaller cultural considerations if you're talking to an American woman or I don't know, a Panamanian woman or a Korean woman or an Indian woman. Like there are differences there to consider, but that's like the last 5%. The actual system that you build and the strategies you use cover 95% of it.
Yeah,
And that
it's
last
like
little bit.
if you're going out with a Muslim, you don't take them to do barbecue, right?
At least not pork barbecue, right?
Exactly, right. So it's
Yeah,
those kind of things you have to remember, but other
sure.
than that, there's very little consideration to take into where they're from or what religion they are.
Yeah.
Also,
Uh,
I think based on the 14 types method, right? That what do you feel is the easiest type of girl to hang out with, or like the most not easiest, but most fun, right? Most comfortable. What do you think
depends on
that
you.
type is?
Yeah.
Depends on you and your type.
Exactly. Like if you just mean like the most fun to hang out with and be comfortable with, for me, it's the
Alcoholics.
alcoholics. Yeah. Right. Like it's the alcoholics. Like I love them. We get along great because we just get together and we drink and we talk shit and like it's perfect, right? Very comfortable. Now I don't want to be in a serious relationship with that kind of girl, but for just fun and being comfortable, the alcoholic works for me. But that wouldn't be the case for a lot of other people, right? So it depends on you, your types, what it is that you like, and how you feel most comfortable.
Yeah, right, understandable.
So, like for me, it's probably the worker bees that is the easiest to hang out with,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, I think
alcoholics comes in at a close second, I think.
alcoholics are fun.
What's your last place?
Uh-huh.
Your last place. What will be the last woman you will date? What type?
The attention horse, without a question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
understandable.
attention whores are very high maintenance.
It's just exhausting.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Is that like just not just in terms of the action you have to do, but they're mentally very high maintenance and they are exhausting to be around and to date, at least for any sort of longer period of time. Um,
Okay, so we have another question here from Sabi here.
sure.
He's asking, what about your experiences with dating foreign girls in Korea? Do you think it's easier or harder to date them, as most of them would be looking for K guys, I guess? My experience with this is divided into if you meet, so you have the two different type of foreigners. There are three different type of foreigners in Korea. You have the people that are living in Korea. Those are just like most others. If they have a visa that is completely separate to them being married to some Korean dude, then they are just normal people.
Yeah.
Then you have the K-boos, and those are the ones that are exclusively looking for Korean guys. And if you go on a dating app in Korea, that's where you find them.
Yeah.
So online dating, looking for foreign girls might not be the easiest. However, going out, like when you're in a bar on a random night,
Mhm.
and you meet the ones that I call the travelers that are just there for vacation. They are like typical. Like for me, it was a lot of Japanese girls,
Mhm.
but also Chinese, Taiwanese or Hong Kong, Vietnamese. Like those go there for traveling very frequently because it's close.
Mhm.
Those are usually not that interested in Korean guys because they know they're like they don't really care to say it like that. They are not there to hook up with Korean guys specifically. They are
Mhm.
there because they're either on family vacation or they're going to see another big city or they go there for food. And when you meet those girls out, they can be a lot of fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that I personally would date out of all three of them.
My experiences line up almost exactly with yours. That first group, the ones that live in Korea, whether they're, teaching or they're military or they work some kind of job or they work remotely or whatever it is, right? But they're set up here for an extended period of time. Uh, yeah, they are just the same as every other girl, right? Like, so again, if your system is correct to attract them, it's not hard. But if it's incorrect, then they won't be interested. And the K-boos, just ignore them. But also, you don't want to deal with the K-boos. Like, what a fucking nightmare. What a pain, right? They're going to be like, oh, let's go get the sugar-covered fruit. I saw it on a drama. Let's go get the churros. I'm like, oh, fuck me, man. It's like dating Starbucks if Starbucks was a person. Fuck that. Just like the most vapid and personality devoid people. No, skip them. But the other foreigners who are here traveling, especially like Paul mentioned, especially other Asians who are in Korea, those you have a much higher chance of success with because they don't really want to deal with the Korean guy bullshit, right? But also they get a lot of negative discrimination against them, not not the Japanese as much, right? And if they're just traveling, then it doesn't really matter. Like if they're just here for a weekend or whatever. But the ones that are here for a while, whether they're like from Vietnam or Thailand or especially like the poorer Southeast Asian countries, they get a ton of shit here. And they will love having somebody who doesn't give a shit about their skin color and is cool to hang out with. So other foreigners, especially East Asian foreigners who are living here, are great, very fun to be with. And I heard that Myeongdong is kind of coming back. I used to troll Myeongdong, and with Stallion, we would go and troll Myeongdong to find the Japanese tourists who would come over for shopping, and like it's just fish in a barrel, man. Like we just cleaned up out there with the Japanese girls. It was wonderful. Oh, there was a time. Coot says, I have an active attention whore repellent. Thanks, Jack. What is it? You mean the Pikachu hat? That might be what he means. He still has my Pikachu hat, and I think he's still rocking that thing down in Daejeon. Good. If it works for you, great. Yeah.
I do have
Art,
one last question.
yeah.
This is for serious, let's say, long-term relationships. Like, what do you think is the key? Not necessarily the key, but the most important thing that you need to have in a long-lasting relationship in order for it to work personally.
Communication. Like the way you communicate with your partner and like knowing like knowing how to talk to your partner. I think that is one of the most important things. It's not about what you say, but it's how to get your point across without being hurtful or offensive, or like actually being able to manage a good
Would you
situation,
say that
even
makes a
in
difference?
being able to talk to a person in a way that makes them understand you even when you're angry or upset. I think those are one of the most important things, because those will, in a long-term relationship, the things that are going to break you up are fights.
Mm,
Simple as that. And if you can learn to communicate with each other in ways that makes it so that you don't start fighting in the first place, or that things don't escalate unnecessarily, that
mm,
will definitely be what saves probably 90% of relationships.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Finding ways to communicate effectively um, is important. The other thing that I have found to be very important, and nobody ever seems to talk about this, is space. Like, you need space apart from one another. Um, Not just like physically, right? Like we talked about long distance relationships. Was that last week or something? And like
Mm.
that's a less than ideal situation, but you should have space between the two of you, where you have hobbies and activities that are apart from her, and you have time away from one another instead of just being like joined at the hip all the time, because that, first of all, it's going to be infuriating, right? The other thing is that it's going to, it takes away any of the mystery, any of the curiosity, any of the room for somebody to miss you. I think it's really important to have some kind of separate hobbies and things that you like to do. You have to do things together as well, but everybody knows that. But you should also have other things that you do that's separate and that you aren't expected to do together, and you can do this thing regularly. So
I
like for
think
me,
you're
I go to my pool games every Wednesday, or most every Wednesday, right? And and Lady North, she totally understands. Like I don't need to ask for permission or anything weird like that. I just tell her like, oh, I'm going to pool tonight. She'll be asleep whenever I get home. Like, okay, cool, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah,
And that's fine.
yeah, that would be my number two. Like, it's important to remember that you are two people, and in a relationship there are three lives. It's your life, her life, and the life you have together.
Yeah.
And you need to balance the three
Mhm.
in some way. I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, I feel that this is extremely important. Also because I see so many relationships of people falling off the relationships just because I don't know, the emotions fades away for what it seemingly is absolutely no reason, but either they're too attached and they know everything about each other and then the connection fades a bit. And I definitely think that finding the right balance is the first place for me, honestly. The very first thing. I don't want to say like just see each other 3 to 4 days a week or 2 days a week even, but I don't even say take a month or anything. But if you feel like your connection is going off, and for some reason you feel like you're starting to lose feelings or emotions for this person, I don't say just cut that person off your life, but take some time for yourself, then meet this person again and try to communicate with each other, try to hang out and see if that connection comes back. Because honestly, I think that's the worst thing that can happen to someone in a long term relationship. Just emotions fading away for absolutely no reason. I gotta be honest, I
I
fear that
think
will happen.
so. I think there are different approaches to that, because especially like when you're younger, you naturally grow apart. Like, as you mature, the way you view the world is going to change, and that will automatically also affect your feelings. I think when we're talking about like these really long-term relationships and how it works, And as you said, like, yeah, you can have like you see each other 2 times a week, you see each other 4 times a week, but that changes drastically once you start living together because now it's no longer an option when you see her, right? Now you have to do your own thing and go out and do something else in order to have your alone time, right? Or at least one of you have to do it. And that is when that changes quite a lot and it becomes a very different beast than I think what you're trying to describe.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to do it. Like I've designed my apartment to literally have a physical space that is just for me, right? Like this room that we use as the recording studio and all this stuff. There's nothing in here that interests her in the slightest. But that's great because this is basically my office too. So I can come in here and get work done, close the door, and she just leaves me alone. Like she understands, like, okay, cool. If the door's open, then I'm open to talking. And if it's closed, then don't come in unless you have to. And so we can create that kind of space in other ways too. But yeah, finding that balance of um, giving her room to miss you is basically that's the kind of gist of it there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other questions, Antonio?
No, I don't. Honestly, no.
Nope. All right, cool. Then I think that this is where we're going to wrap it up. So, very special thank you to Paul and Antonio. Thank you for joining. And for all of you guys who have joined in watching the live stream, thank you so much. If you haven't done it yet, please do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. It really helps me a lot. And if you know somebody who is single and suffering and doesn't know where to get started, consider sending them this video because the strategies I give here will help anybody find a good relationship for themselves. So that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap it up today. Thank you guys for joining in for our live stream and for my birthday stream. One last cheers with chaps for you guys. Cheers, boys. And until next week.